I got Thai chilies here. This is peppers and patents. Okay, this is actually harder than the bar exam was. I got Thai chilies here. And according to ChatGPT, they're between 50,000 and 100,000 Scovilles. And I got a handful of them because I am steaming mad about how biased the patent system is in favor of big corporations, tech companies, and the wealthy. It's really hard to make it as an independent inventor. It's really hard to make it as a small company if you're relying on patents, precisely because the patent system is so skewed and it's time to fix it. So, given how steaming mad I am, I'm going to be eating these while we go through it. So, before we get started, let's get a little steaming mad. Man, I'm the dumbest person on the planet. Oh, okay. Oh, God. Definitely hotter than the Tabasco I did with trademarks. Today, we're uncovering an important story behind innovation. The hurdles inventors face because of the bias in the patent system. My God, that was hot. Today, we're going to burn through, burn the reasons it is so biased. And while some of the sweat and red face will come from the pepper seeds, I'm really mad. And this really isn't fair, and it didn't used to be this way. Point one, getting a patent is hard, especially for small inventors. Corporations can afford top-tier attorneys and drafting services to secure airtight patents. But for individuals, the costs can be, and in fact are, pretty prohibitive. Now, a patent attorney, if you're lucky, you might find a great one at around $500 an hour. But as a practical matter, you're looking much closer to $1,000 an hour than $500. And it takes a lot of hours to put these things together. So for a really simple invention, you might get away with $10,000 to $20,000 just to get on file. With a really complex one, it could cost a lot more than that. And you add in the costs if you want the bells and whistles of prior art searches, if you want to add a bunch of extra claims, more than the 20 free claims they give you, that kind of thing, you are looking at a really astronomical price. Not so for big corporations. I mean, that's a rounding error in their balance sheet. But for individuals, these are real costs. And that makes me mad, steaming mad and stupid, because here comes the second pepper. Ooh, oh my God. There's going to be some swearing. And I'm going to try to... Oh my God, this is so hot. I was going to say I was going to try to hold off, but that is not happening. Okay. So now let's hit the next point. Okay. Once you manage to secure your patent, it's all good. And everyone will respect it and you'll earn money. No, that is completely how it was in the 1990s. No longer. Even if you manage to secure a patent, the fight is far from over. There is something called post-grant review, and it takes a lot of different forms. It can be an inter-parties review or IPR. That was created in the American Invents Act. Oh my God, this is spicy. There can be an ex parte re-exam and an inter-parties re-exam. I mean, there are a lot of ways people can attack these things. Now, what does it cost when they're attacked? Well, it can cost millions of dollars if you're litigating in federal court. Even an IPR can cost $500,000 fairly easily. The other thing is IPRs almost always end badly for small inventors, kind of like me eating these peppers. Why do they end badly? Well, let's just say a former chief judge of the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals, which is the court of appeals that hears all patent cases in the United States, calls IPRs patent death squads because of the patents that they grant review for. They knock out a huge number of claims. I mean, you got a better chance of knocking them out than having them survive by the time they get into an IPR. If you are not backed by a war chest of cash, it's going to be nearly impossible to defend your patent against these challenges. What do these challenges do? Well, in theory, they're supposed to weed out bad patents. But given how much money you just spent with an expert in the field getting the patent issued, it seems pretty unfair that you can be dragged right back in front of different experts and have the patent invalidated. But that's how it works. All these post-grant review processes are designed to invalidate the patent. See, what you're seeing now is me thinking, oh my God, do I really have another one of these? Because I'm sitting and there's 5 in front of me and there's only 2 been eaten. So now I'm going to so regret this tomorrow morning. I'm regretting it already. Okay. Wow. Oh my God. Okay. It was pretty hot. Oh my God. Okay. Am I sweating yet? It feels like it. The next problem is something called continuation practice. Now, continuations are just a way of saying that I didn't get all of the invention covered by the first patent, so I have to get it covered in a subsequent patent application, and it continues the application you filed before for your first claims. Let's boil this down to something tangible. Imagine that I invented the car and it didn't exist before. So ready, we're using our imaginations. That's good, right? Anything to distract me from these peppers. And I am getting steaming mad. But if you invent the car, you might file first for protection on the muffler. You can't file on all the different systems in the car simultaneously. They're very different inventions, right? The automatic transmission is a really different thing than the radial tire. So they're going to force you to pursue these all in different patent applications, and that's continuation practice. Now, unfortunately, for small inventors, continuation practice is expensive, and it can really impair your cash flow. I mean, you have to get your company off the ground. You're trying to get everything done to start selling, and you've got to pay for a patent. So often what people will do is they'll say, well, I got some claims issued. That's enough. I can't afford to spend more on patents. So instead of getting a patent on the entire car, you get a patent only on the muffler, much less valuable. Big corporations, on the other hand, literally have people whose entire job it is to file stuff with the patent office. They can do it essentially for free or within the budget they've already set out to have their in-house team do. So that's really an unlevel portion of the playing field there. Speaking of unlevel, how unlevel must my brain be that I'm going to have a fourth one of these? So I don't know. This is just not smart. Also, eating the stem, not helpful. Oh my God. Wow. Okay. Okay. Patent. Sorry again. Patent litigation is David versus Goliath. But in this story, Goliath almost always wins. Litigating a patent case against a big corporation can easily cost $10 million per side or more. Average costs are in the single-digit million range. But if you have a complex case, or if you have a defendant who's just decided that they are going to make it as expensive as possible for you to try to break the bank, you're easily up in the 8-figure range. I mean, even expert witnesses alone can cost in the millions in a complex enough case. Oh, wow. So here's the kicker. You can't even approach a big company to license your patent without having the funding already in place to defend yourself. Why? Because if you approach a company and say, I think you might be infringing this patent, they're going to take you to federal district court and get a declaratory judgment, or they're going to file for an IPR, or both. And I got to say, that will be expensive. You need to have the money in place, or else your patent's just going to get wiped out the first time you ask someone to license it. You can even approach a company and say, you're not infringing this right now, but I would love to work with you on building this product. And if the company doesn't want to cut you in for a part of your invention, all they've got to do is file an IPR. And if you don't have the money to defend it, you can wave bye-bye to your patent claims. Just like I'm waving bye-bye to my tongue. Now, international costs. Well, since this is a Thai pepper, I suppose it's a tiny bit international. God, this is a big one. What am I thinking? I'm so stupid. Why am I? Because I'm steaming that. That's why. That's what I'm doing.
Dirty Turkish back flat important syllable.
The hurdles are not just domestic. International patent protection is a financial mountain that's hella hard to climb. Filing in major markets, just the major economies like the US, Europe, Japan, and China, and I know I clumped Europe together, but there is a European Patent Office, it's complicated, but just those big markets can easily cost you over $100,000, which coincidentally is the number of Scovilles in that pepper I just ate. Now, for large corporations, it's just a cost of doing business. They already have relationships with lawyers in these other countries. They can get discounts because of the amount of work they're sending to these lawyers. And it's already budgeted. They want international protection and they're going to get it. But for an individual, you're already stretching your finances, you're running up your credit cards, trying to get your startup off the ground, and you're not going to find $100,000 sitting around to file internationally. So you're going to have a much narrower geographic scope of protection. Yet another way that small inventors suffer at the hands of this patent system that is really tilted. Ooh. Can I just say, this is the hottest thing I have ever eaten plain without having a drink near me at least. I mean, my kingdom for a shot glass of water. Funding and settlements. Now let's say, oh great, now my nose is starting to run from the peppers. Let's say you secure litigation funding to fight back, to protect your patent. Problem solved, right? Still no. Why? Because here's the catch. When you accept funding, you lose control over how the case settles, typically. I mean, it's really rare for someone to give you a pile of money and say, we don't want any control. So as a practical matter, you're going to lose control. Now, there's something about being human. For a human, if I said, you have a 50-50 shot at winning $1 billion, or you can take 10 million right now. Most humans, I think, would take the 10 million because $10 million means that you can retire, you can have the life you want to have, you can invent full time if that's what you want. The change to your life, bringing in 10 million, is not that significantly different than it is to bring in $1 billion. It's the difference between flying first class and having a private plane. You really don't need it. But a big company that has funded your litigation will expect you to maximize the return. So if you have $1 billion patent and you're willing to license it or sell it for $10 million because that's all the money you need, even though it's an unfairly low amount, you can no longer do it. The minute that you bring in litigation funders, if your patent's worth $1 billion, there's a 50-50 shot of winning, they are not going to settle for less than $500 million. And that's a problem. An additional aspect to this problem, anytime you litigate a patent all the way till the end, there is a chance that the court will invalidate the patent. And then you get nothing. So rather than take the guaranteed 10 million, your litigation funder is going to want to go for the $500 million, and that increases your chances of getting nothing. So litigation funding is critical and doesn't always work out very well for reasonable amounts of money that most inventors would be happy with. Okay, my nose is now running, so apologies. Okay, this is the really bad one, okay? It's efficient infringement, and I almost don't need a pepper to tell you how mad this makes me, but because I'm apparently dumb enough, I mean, like straight A's at Harvard Law, right? And I'm dumb enough to do this, just goes to show you there are a lot of different kinds of intelligence. And I apparently am lacking in the don't eat something stupidly hot. Oh my God, I can hear the seeds rattling in these. Okay, so before we do efficient infringement, I'm going to do the last 2 peppers simultaneously. Okay, this is actually harder than the bar exam was. Oh my God. Okay, what is efficient infringement? Many big companies have realized that it's cheaper to infringe patents and fight any lawsuits that come their way and use IPRs rather than entering into a fair license agreement. It's simple math. Unfunded independent inventors or small companies just don't have the resources to battle big companies, especially when the landscape is so biased that we literally have something called by the former chief judge of the Federal Circuit a patent death squad to watch out for. Big companies take advantage of it. They know that if you finally get to court, then they maybe have to settle, but probably not, only if you have litigation funding. And, most inventors don't know how to do that and how to put that together. Ring me. I'll tell you how. Not that hard. Efficient infringement is we'll take the consequences of infringing because we know net, we as a giant tech company are going to come out ahead. We don't have to license these patents. We don't have to respect the intellectual property rights of the inventors. That's efficient infringement. It is a devastating strategy for small inventors and small companies. Without funding, you are left watching your ideas get used without compensation, without credit, without even the courtesy of answering your phone calls because they don't have to. And unless you throw in your lot with litigation funders, there's little you can do to stop it. So when big companies complain that there are a lot of patent lawsuits out there, in large part, it's their own fault because independent inventors will often settle for way less than the fair market value of the patent. But once they have those litigation funders that efficient infringement requires that they get, it's a totally different game and they're facing litigation. Ugh. The spiciest day ever. Here is the truth. The patent system is supposed to encourage innovation. It's supposed to protect inventors, but it is now so heavily skewed in favor of those who can afford to play the game that independent inventors, many of them, are just walking. Why should they share their invention with the world when they can keep it as a trade secret? I mean, there are a range of inventions that can be done as a trade secret, mostly manufacturing methods. And so we're starting to see more of that. In fact, the federal government passed the Defend Trade Secrets Act just a few years ago to create a federal trade secrets law. And I think that has a lot to do with the weakening of the patent system. So we need reforms. We need some way to cap litigation costs. We need to find some way to make IPRs more fair, to make it so that once you get an issued patent, it is once again, like it used to be, presumed to be valid. Should be a presumption that the patent examiner did their job. They're an expert after all. If they can't do their job, what are they doing working there? They're working there because they're an expert and they can do their job. I feel like my face has been lit on fire. So, thank you for joining me on this steaming mad journey. Stay creative, stay determined, stick together with other inventors. I strongly recommend lobbying groups like US Inventor, who stands up for small companies and independent inventors against the enormous funding that big companies have to do lobbying. And for goodness sakes, man, don't eat peppers. That's some crazy stuff. I wanted to do it because I'm that mad. But I think I need to have something to drink or maybe go to the doctor or something. Keep fighting for a fairer future. We'll catch you next time. Ugh, why did I do that? It's like the spiciest shit. Look, all these peppers, they're gone. Nothing left. It's all in me. And it's going to hurt in the morning. Catch you next, man.